Anyway, the question is either what happened with Blue or am I single? Hello, what's up, Fertility fam? How are you? It is Vlogmas Day 6. It's Sunday. And I was going to do a whole other thing, but one, I did another day of self-care, so woohoo. And the other, I keep getting this question, so I wanted to answer it for the old and the new. So the question is either... children and pets. She was a cat in another lifetime. Yeah, she just hopped off of the bed, onto the chair, onto my lap, onto the ottoman. Anyway, the question is either what happened with Blue or am I single? So for those of you who are new, I had a partner named Blue. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but anyway. And for those of you who have been around, here's the update. Blue is bi. That's the short answer. The long answer, I guess, is Blue and I broke up the first weekend of January 2020, and we have not spoken to one another since. And thank God people have, in my personal life, have stopped asking me about that, because we had a history of breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. And so people, you know, when I told them, nobody was really empathetic about it. Like, they were just like, oh, you guys will get back together. I kind of kept it at that. So I had to, you know, grieve and mourn on my own and process it. And it was the first weekend in January. At that point, I knew something was wrong with my mom, but I didn't know it was cancer yet. But she had started showing signs the day after Christmas, and it was progressing. And so my sister and I were in conversations, and I knew it was not going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be cancer, but I knew it was not going to be good. And so that was going on. So I was, you know, grappling with that. I think anytime we grapple with the mortality of our parents, we grapple with our own mortality. So that was kind of going through my head. And then I think by the end of January, like, we had been connected on our Apple Watches because we would do competitions, and I could see him exercising, he could see me exercising. And I think like February 1, I was just over it. I was just like, I don't want to have these constant reminders. And so I unconnected our account, so I couldn't see anymore what was going on with him. And then I blocked him so that he couldn't call me and I couldn't call him. I think I can't call. Well, I'm not sure if I can. I just blocked it. So I was like, everything. We weren't connected on social media. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I don't think we're connected on Instagram, or if we are, it's the Instagram account I don't use. But so that was just like a mental like off switch. However, it was probably a long time coming. At least since October, I would say, at least since October. I think there was like strife, maybe September, October. I can't remember. We went to the, apple orchard. So maybe that was September. We went to apple orchard, apple picking, and there was like a little bit of drama there. And then we went, to upstate to do like wine tasting, and it just like, there were little signs of like, we were kind of getting on each other's nerves and not really, vibing. And in that time I had done another IVF. I had done a retrieval, and the embryo did not progress well. And so I didn't make it to, blastocyst. And I said that in a video, like I was thinking about it because my egg was not mature upon retrieval, and then it matured. So I knew it was like a hardy egg. And so at that point I started thinking about a different sperm donor, because he also was my sperm donor. It was a known donor, but we had signed a donor agreement. Like, he wasn't going to be the father. He was going to be the donor. And so I had, at that point, started thinking, I'm running out of time. And so I probably am going to have to go to a different sperm donor, like someone who has had success at this. I already knew that there were issues with his sperm because obviously you do like a sperm analysis before you go through that. And the way we were trying to get around that was with ICSI. So he had a high percentage of abnormal sperm. The morphology was off. And it was, so we tried to get around that with ICSI where they go in and handpick like an individual sperm and inject that. However, it's still not a perfect sperm because if you're in a batch of abnormal sperm, what is the likelihood that just because you appear normal that you're 100% normal, if that makes sense? And then, you know, I couldn't really fault him for that. I knew what that was going into it, so it is what it is. And he never made a commitment to be, the girls are running around. I'm sure you hear the bells. Hi, Liberty. He never made a commitment to be like an ideal sperm donor, right? So it wasn't like he was changing his diet or he stopped bike riding or he stopped drinking. You know, all those things impact, right? Like how much bacon are you eating or how much alcohol are you consuming or how they tell you to stay away from bike riding altogether and hot tubs because it's bad for the testicle, so it's bad for the sperm. And so, you know, he had actually taken up longer distance bike riding, so I knew the sperm probably was not getting better. And so I had already, in my mind, like after September, knew I was probably going to have a different sperm donor. I was going to go with an anonymous sperm donor just because it's easier and it's less expensive. When you pay for an anonymous sperm donor, they've already done all the testing. You get a full medical history. You know what you're getting, right? And so I learned that going through a known donor, it's just a lot more rigmarole. It's easier just to go through a catalog and have it shipped to you. So I knew I was going to be going back to that route. Incidentally, it was good that I went through this process because the original anonymous donor that I had ended up having issues. Like I just got a notice a couple weeks ago from California Cryobank that there was something that sperm donor's children, or the children derived from that sperm donor's sperm, because it's not his kids technically, were having respiratory issues. So that's a whole other story. So everything happens for a reason. So I'm not mad at the path that I've come down. Ladies. Okay, you hopped in. Go ahead. Everything happens for a reason. So I got to now. At any rate, so I knew that in about September, October that I was going to be switching. You're so bossy. Justice. Is everything okay? Justice? Oh, good. Liberty's going to make it. Okay, let's see for now. So I can't remember. I knew I was going to be going. So anyway, so that, like, it's a little difficult because it's not really part of the relationship, but it gets intertwined in the relationship because then it's like, oh, I got to have this conversation about, am I going to be using an anonymous sperm donor? Is this person going to be offended? Why would they be offended? I'm not sure, but men are kind of sensitive about their sperm. Especially when you're talking about the quality of the sperm. And so even though this person was not going to be involved in this child's life, I think there's an odd conversation there. So, I mean, nobody feels good about that, right? Like there was a part of your biology it's the same as like going through infertility in the first place. Nobody feels good that you have to like go to intervening, to intervention methods, but here we are. So that was an awkward thing. But then overall, the relationship started to deteriorate. She's just barking at herself. Liberty. 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 She's in her little igloo doing whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so I hope that psychologically on my part, like I didn't have animosity toward him because I was like dreading having this conversation or that I was thinking about switching sperm donors or whatever. I don't know. I mean, who knows what happens in the unconscious mind. There was no intention of that. I'll say that. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? So that was happening. And then we did the wine country trip upstate. There was like, I will just say strained. Like there was he was expressing a lot of frustration with me for things that I thought were kind of like trivial. Like we're away, we're supposed to be on holiday. Like, can we just relax? And so, and the driving on the way back, like, I don't know if he was upset or whatever, but the driving on the way back was like super aggressive. And so it made me tense. Anyway, so that was that. And then there was something weird about dividing up the money on that trip. So, like, we went with a couple and presumably we're a couple. But then when everything got divided up, it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was something weird. I mean, I paid it all off. But I ended up owing everybody, like, the way that it went down. And it went on a spreadsheet to all 4 of us, which I just thought was awkward. Like, why don't you just tell me what I owe you? Like, why is it in a spreadsheet that your friends see? You know what I mean? Like, that just, it was weird. So that happened, and I think, like, there was a little bit of aggression or microaggression or passive aggression about it, because I think when we had gone to the apple picking, he may have wanted to divide up the cost, but didn't. But he didn't mention, like, I would have given him whatever if he would have said, maybe we should have offered. I don't know what the deal was. But at that point, it was, like, very tit for tat. And I think he had just started working. So he hadn't worked for 2 years. And he had just started working, if I remember that correctly. And then, so there was that. And then we went to Florida for after Christmas. So that was a whole other layer of weirdness. So I was, like, the plan was he was going to go see his parents. And I was going to meet him down there. But then I never got any details on, like, dates, times. And so I was arranging, because my best friend lives in Lauderhill. And so I was going to try and go and see her. I needed to book my ticket. So we're, like, already in December, and I haven't booked my ticket because I'm not sure when his ticket is, when he wants to go. We were going to go to Key West, like, when he wants to go to Key West. And so there was just, like, a lot of, like, pulling to get that information. And then my best friend is getting frustrated with me, like, what date are you coming so I can make plans? Like, are you staying with us? Are you not staying with us? Like, we need to get this sorted. And so I finally got a window, and me asking seemed to annoy him. And I'm like, well, you invited me. Like, I'm not sure why that is annoying. You know what I mean? Or maybe you've changed your mind and you don't want me to go. Just, like, that's fine too. At any rate, so... And then, like, he's coming to pick me up with my best friends, and I was like, you should come inside and say hi, right? And that also seemed to annoy him. Like, oh, I thought you were just going to come outside. And I'm like, that's super weird. Like, you're here from New York. I'm there from New York. You're just going to, like, honk, and I'm going to come out. I mean, he came in. It was all of 5 minutes, but again, super awkward. Do you want to go play with her? Okay. Do you want to go play? Kisses? What's going on? What's going on? So, yeah, it was weird. And then, so we went to the Keys. We drove down there that day, stayed at a bed and breakfast, and then he decided he wanted to drive back the next day. I don't know if you've been to the Keys, if you've driven out there, but from Lauderhill to the Keys, it's quite the drive. There was traffic going out there, and so it would have been nice to, like, I wanted to get a massage and just, like, relax, but of course, we're packing up the next morning and going, and then he goes hiking that morning, and he's like, did you bring anything to go hiking? I was like, no. Like, I had no indication we were going hiking. I barely found out the dates I was supposed to be here, you know what I mean? So, no, I didn't bring hiking clothes. I thought we were going to go to Florida and just relax, so I had, like, espadrilles and yada yada. So he went out, went hiking that morning, came back, and we left and we go to Miami. And then we went out to dinner in Miami. It was all just, like, very strained, very awkward. And then he dropped me off. Like, I went and picked up my stuff at the hotel in Miami. Like, we went to breakfast. I'm skipping parts. I'm just remembering it in my mind. Anyway, I ended up at the airport super early because, again, there was a lack of communication about, like, when should I be there? When can you take me back? But he had his parents' car. He had to get it back. So, like, I think my flight was, like, at 7 o'clock that night. Or maybe 5, and I had to be there by 5, and it was at 7, something like that. And I was dropped off at the airport at, like, 2, which, had it been planned better, I could have seen my best friend that day. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just all uncomfortable and awkward. And normally, I would say he's pretty thoughtful about that, like, very into the details and the organization of it. And so it was just weird. Girls, ladies, liberty, justice. Oh my God, they're going crazy. So it was just, like, weird. It was just weird. So things were strained. They were strained. And then, for whatever reason, we agreed to hang out for New Year's. So we were both back in New York by New Year's. I obviously was back a day early. I'm going to say it was a Sunday. I think I was back on a Sunday night. And then I think maybe he came back on a Monday or Tuesday. And so then we hung out. And everything was fun. It was like, New Year's landed in the middle of a week. But so by that Sunday night, all bets were off. Like we had a very heated discussion. I talked about switching sperm donors. He was like, oh, it's going to be like what your therapist said, which my therapist says a lot of shit, so I wasn't sure what he was referring to. We had been drinking, which is never good. And so whatever it was, like, I got all my stuff. He asked for his keys back very pointedly. I gave him his keys back. And I got in an Uber and I went home. And that's the last I ever talked to him. So, yeah, that's it. That's what happened to Blue. And I honestly feel like with everything that happened this year, that was meant to happen that way. Because I needed to leave and go take care of my mom. So again, I knew something was wrong. By the middle of January, we knew she had cancer. The plan was she was going to have surgery in May. I wasn't going to go out until May. But then my sister was freaking out that my mom wasn't going to make it. And then I'm watching the news. Girls, come on. They're just playing away. I'm watching the news. I know coronavirus is coming, right? It's ravaging Italy at this point, and there's still flights that are going back and forth from Europe to New York. So I knew it was going to be bad. So that was my fear. Like, if I don't go now, I may never see my mom alive. You know, with my sister's concerns about how fast my mom was deteriorating, and that my mom was also not sure if she wanted to do chemo, and we were obviously not going to force her to do that, but that's a painful conversation. And then, you know, she's losing weight, she doesn't look like herself, and the coronavirus is coming. So my mind is like, I have to get there so that I can at least see my mother alive one last time. And so I leave February 11th, to go to California. And I stayed until June 4th. I didn't talk to him that whole time. I couldn't have, because again, the things are blocked, but it just wasn't on my mind. And I wasn't sure why would we need to talk, if that makes sense. Like, I think we had already kind of like figured out we're not going to be long-term partners. And I think the recognition that our time as short-term partners had run its course, if that makes sense. Yeah, because I think we both always approached it as like we were going to be short-term, and I think, you know, on and off for 6 years was actually longer than I probably had originally anticipated. Someone had made a reference, and I think you were talking about sex, like you used some cutesy terms, like he was in it for the sex. I don't think that was the case. I was definitely the more sexually active person in the relationship, the one like initiating. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't think that he was using me for sex. If anything, it was the other way around. Yeah, he was not, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but he had already hit over 50 and like his sex drive was waning. It waned throughout the duration of our relationship. And, you know, I don't know what the technical years, but I feel like I was in my sexual prime. Like, I felt confident more sexually, so I initiated sex more often. Like, from the beginning of the relationship, he did not want it to have it like a sexual basis, so he would you know, come over and help me put stuff together and whatever, and be like, we don't have to have a relationship based on sex. So there would be long periods of time where we did not have sex. So I think even in the end, we probably had sex like once in December, once in November, once in October. So like when we went on the trip for the wine, and then while we were in Miami, and then probably, so I haven't had sex at all in 2020, which is probably good, you know, like, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it was the last thing on my mind for the majority of the year, so I'll say that. But I think we were good friends for a long time, and I think, you know, a season, a reason, and a lifetime, and I think if the reason he was in my life, one, it sort of reignited my desire to have a child just because of the accidental pregnancy, in 2017, and then two, just about actually being friends with a partner. I think that sort of solidified in my mind, like that relationship solidified that, because we would go hiking and we'd hang out and watch movies and enjoy each other's company, which I don't know that I had really had that previously. So that, like, I think every time like you're in a relationship, you should get some new little kernels of something. And so yeah, it had its time, a season or a reason or a lifetime. It was a reason. And so, you know, the reason has been fulfilled, and we've moved on. So yeah, that is what happened with Blue. hopefully that answers your question. How are you guys doing? Anybody else have any stories of what happened with their ex that they want to share down below? Let me know. Talk to you later. Bye. Baby, that's too much.